Welcome 2020 and welcome back to the channel. Go ahead and do me a favor in the comments down below. Just go ahead and let me know that you're safe. I know there's a lot of people that watch that don't make comments too often because there's nothing maybe you want to talk about. Just go ahead and say, hey, I'm here, I'm safe, whatever, 2020, whatever. Just let me know that everybody made it into this year and that you're safe and that you're here watching the build of the 1991 Z28. So have you seen the reveal video for this beautiful intake manifold? Oh, I am so happy to finally have this. One step closer to getting this car back together. I just really need my cylinder heads and then we can really rock and roll in this thing. But the good thing is I have this now and I can start working on a few things. So let me show you a few things that I've run into and what we're doing about that. So first little glitch I had was right here on the throttle position sensor. The blade that's right here that moves was actually hitting the bracket that holds this. Now I could have cut this bracket off right here. It feels pretty strong. I think it would have been strong enough I could have just cut it off and made it work. But what I did is I just went ahead and put a screwdriver back here and bent this tab back. So now it works. But what was happening is as it rotated up, it was hitting this back piece. So like I said, just took a screwdriver, bent it up, and we got it working. And it looks like we go the full range now without any issues. Next, Ken designed this off of about the 1988 version of the car, and a few things changed, and one being the throttle cable. Basically, there's a pin that screws in here and comes out, and the throttle cable is supposed to go to it. The problem is my throttle cable, I don't have a round loop on the bottom to hook to that pin, so we're going to have to make some changes to that. I know this is going to seem like a lot, but let me try to rotate this and show you the best I can. Zoom in here. This bracket here for the cruise control to go through, see there's two pins that point in. My cruise control only has one pin, so I asked Ken about it, and looking at the throttle at the cable, basically it looks like I'm just going to be able to go ahead and round that out and get that to fit. And then what we have right here is the distributor. This piece of the base is actually hitting that. So not a big deal, it's just good to know. So that way when I put the distributor in, I need to make sure that it's in a spot where I'm going to have room to rotate it to set the timing. So not really a big deal. It doesn't matter. The distributor doesn't care where it's at. Just as long as wherever this is, that's cylinder number one. Provided the engine, you should set your engine at top dead center. And then no matter what, whatever you set this at, that should be cylinder number one. So it doesn't really matter where we put it. It doesn't really matter. Once that's locked in, then we just turn this to just the timing. So I just need to make sure that wherever I lock this thing in at, I have some room to move it. So what I did is I marked on the base here, these little black dots, corresponds to where the pins line up for the cap. So whatever cylinder. So this will help me figure out where I am at with this. Okay. Next I went ahead and put the map sensor on here. Here's the factory hose piece. As you can see, it's not going to reach any of these vacuum fittings here. So what I wanted to do is make sure I had some hose that would work. This is actually some fuel line. The fuel line's fine for a vacuum line. It's not the expensive fuel injection line, but you know, saves me a trip to the auto parts store. So basically I can just be able to go ahead and do like that, and we'll go ahead and get the map sensor. This is all just preparation for when we start getting everything done. We know exactly what we will and won't need to do. So this is what I'm talking about. On the throttle cable, you can see it's like a barrel on the end. So I can either cut this off and put a different fitting on here that will look more like this. So for round, it'll look like that and pull the throttle. Or I can just get an 88 type throttle cable, which Summit has for about 15 bucks. And also here is the cruise control cable right here. Now, let me see if I can't zoom in. So basically you can see, let me try to focus here. You can see that this side here is U-shaped, right? So that goes into the one groove. When you come onto this side of the cable, this thing is extremely stiff, guys. Right here you can see it is squared off. It's a box, right? So basically what we just have to do is just take a little round file and make that round, so that way this will slide in and look like that. I'm having a hard time seeing it here, so excuse me. It's hard to bend this, but yeah, see, so that's square. There you go, that looks good. You can see how round that is right there, and right here it is square, and it's blocked off. See, so we just have to file this down, and it's just plastic. It'll file real easy to make it look like that, and then it should slide into those teeth. I put the alternator and power steering bracket on here because next what I want to do is set the intake manifold up here and then figure out my fuel line routing to all of this. Right here you have the two fuel rails here. What I'm thinking is doing my crossover in the back to tie the two fuel rails together, and then up here in the front there's two other ones right there, and then it'll be my intake, and then the other one will come out and go to the fuel pressure regulator. I'm thinking about doing it from the front here, and that way the fuel lines will just kind of come this way and come straight over instead of running them back around. So yes, it does suck. I don't have the cylinder heads. I'd really love to have them, get them on here, so that way we can go ahead and get the new push rods and rocker arms installed, get the valve lash set, and then continue on getting this put in, and then we can get this car fired up. I think it's going to happen really quick once we start getting all these parts. I do still have to put on the headers and figure out the Y pipe and the rest of the exhaust system afterwards. I'm hoping I have enough pipe because I'm doing away with the converters, and I'm thinking there's enough pipe to reach, but that's still going to be an if. So there's a lot of stuff I still need to figure out once I get all this together. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be working on right now. I'm going to go ahead and get this intake manifold set into the car, and then kind of work on some of the fueling problems, or not problems, figure out how we're going to route the fueling and all that. So at least I'll be that much ahead of the game. When the heads come, I'll have everything figured out, hopefully, and we can just jump onto this thing. So this is already like key stuff. I mean, not a big deal, but like I said, every little thing I can figure out now before I get into the car is going to help me in the long run. You know, via fuel lines, vacuum lines, where the distributor can and can't fit, getting the throttle cables. Could you picture I get this whole thing done, I go to throw the throttle cable on, and it doesn't fit, and now the car's down for another week or two waiting on a cable or an adapter piece. That's really, see, this is what I don't want to have happen. So it's good to go ahead and trial fit everything as you go along while you have it. So I'm going to go ahead and throw this thing on here and do some planning on the fuel line situation, and then I'll check back with you. So I have all the fittings. I was thinking about running the water hose off the water pump, but then that seemed to be getting in the way of the water temperature sensor. I could run it here, but then at the same time it looks like I'm going to have interference with that bracket. So that's my best option. So I have an answer to the water hose coming out here. You can see that's pretty tight. But now what I'll need to do is get a plug for that hole right there. And we're going to do a plug here, and I'll need something for this. I have to see if this is actually connected in the water jacket or not. I'll have to pull the manifold out. I'm not completely sure if that's just a bolt hole or if that's fluid. I'll pull it out and double check that. Alright, so I think we got it figured out. Like I said, I'm going to run the fuel lines here. As you can see, there's the... maybe you can see it. right there is one fuel rail. Right there's the next one. So I'm going to do like a 90 and a 90, and we'll just run the lines here. This is why I needed to have everything here. I wanted to see what kind of room I had with the accessories and stuff here to find out how much room I was going to have. So I kind of just had the thermostat housing sitting on here. Of course, we'll have cables, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem here. Matter of fact, let me just... Yeah, it really shouldn't be any issue. It should fit through there just nice. Okay. Now, when I bought the Pro Charger for that lovely car there, we had to relocate the auxiliary radiator on the driver's side. So they gave me a length of heater hose, and fortunately they gave me 2 of them. I don't know why, but thankfully I have this, and this is where this is going to come in, because check this out. This is going to be perfect right here. I can't use the full length because it's going to hit, but I can trim a little bit of this off, and then look at that. I got the perfect 90, and then it's going to come here to this piece, because our heater hose is going to go right here. So that's going to work out pretty good. And then right down here, I'm not sure how good you can see that, this metal pipe right here, there's a fitting here, and it goes right here to the radiator. Oh, right here, this bigger fitting. So I'll have more than enough hose to go ahead and, uh-oh, I just knocked something down, to make that run. So perfect. Next, what I want to do is try to go ahead and get the wiring harness installed here. I really can't do it with the manifold on. And then I'll have to unplug the fuel pressure relay, or the fuel pump relay, turn the car on. I want to make sure that the voltage for this thing, I just want to go ahead and make sure this is already set. There's no adjustment here. So what I'm thinking is, right here is a screw, and we can adjust and manipulate the throttle position sensor a little bit right here. I don't think it takes much to, but there's a certain voltage percentage we need to stay in. So I think I'm going to take this back off, run a length of wire out of here so I can probe it, and then plug that in. And like I said, we're just going to undo that fuel pressure, the fuel pump. God, why I keep saying that? The fuel pressure relay right there. So that way when I turn on the car, it doesn't blow this rubber fitting clean off of the line, because it's going to charge the lines if I don't disconnect that. And then that'll be it. I'll just have to run the lows, get some plugs for that. I think I'm going to need 2 90-degree fittings, and I'm going to need a couple of things for this, so we're just going to go ahead and make a little parts list. Alright, time to go ahead and run the lows, get a few parts. Oh yeah! Taking the 50. Gotta take it, man. Finally got the tag on it. Got a driver. This is precisely why I'm trying to get the parts now. 3 hardware stores and not one of them has the part. So I'm probably gonna have to go on Amazon and order that. I had to order 2 fittings on Amazon last night to go into the factory fuel lines to connect to a barb fitting so I can hook up the hose. So I'm gonna go to auto parts store, get some vacuum line. Alright, so I was working on this video. It's getting kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. But before I go, I have a question. One of my viewers, Josh Lightfoot, mentioned to me about making shirt and hoodies with hashtag Project Z28 here on the shirts. So would you guys be interested in like hoodies and shirts with this car in there, like a little maybe L to the W logo on the front, and then like Project Z28, and then a picture of this car on the back as a hoodie? Let me know in the comments down below. I think it's a great idea. Thank you for the suggestion. I was kind of thinking that way, but you know, when I hear it from a subscriber and viewer, it means more, and it really helps me make that decision whether to go put some effort into trying to design this and get it printed up on Teespring for you guys to purchase. So make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe. We'll find out if I get the tiller running on the next video. Like I said, I was going to put that in there, and this would have pushed the video up over 20 minutes. I really don't like making the videos that long. So And then we still got some more stuff going on with this. I'm going to start taking this intake manifold apart and getting injectors, fuel lines, everything run. So make sure you stay tuned, especially if you have one of these intakes or you're looking at getting one. You're going to kind of want to see how all this goes together. So again, make sure you subscribe. This is going to be a great 2020, man. Aiming for 100,000. So let's go ahead and do it. It's possible. And man, some great things happening. So subscribe, comment, thumbs up, everything. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.